Hello, we're back. This presentation is all about intermittent fasting, one that connects tradition, science, and real life experience. Whether you're exploring intermittent fasting for clarity, healing, or just simply being curious, I would like for you to walk away with insight, confidence, and understanding that your story has a place in a journey toward better health. Many people begin intermittent fasting because they want change, usually fast change. And it's true, fasting can lead to quick shifts in water weight and appetite. But when it's rushed or done without balanced nutrition, it can also leave you feeling fatigued, irritable, and vulnerable to overeating during your eating window. That doesn't mean fasting is ineffective. It means the body responds best when fasting is done with care. Quick fixes may feel rewarding at first, but they rarely support long term health. Your body needs protein, fiber, hydration, and emotional steadiness to adapt safely and effectively. Now, compare that to someone using intermittent fasting as a long term strategy. They are not chasing a number, they are building a rhythm. Their meals are balanced, their fasting windows are flexible, and their mindset centered on feeling better, not just looking different. This approach takes time, but it's more sustainable and far more forgiving. So before you begin, ask yourself, am I seeking control or connection? Am I chasing a quick result or building a long term fit? Your why question matters. And if you are not sure, then this is the perfect time to talk with a registered dietitian nutritionist. We are here to help you shape a fasting approach that supports your life, not one that controls it. What is intermittent fasting? It is not a diet, it's a way of timing your meals. Instead of focusing on what you eat, it focuses on when you eat. Some people choose an 8-hour eating window and go on fasting for the remaining 16 hours. Others eat normally 5 days a week and reduce their intake on 2 days. This idea is far from new. Many cultures, including the Filipino traditions, have practiced fasting for spiritual, seasonal, or community reasons. I remember my own ancestors fasting during the Holy Week or during harvest transitions. Today, modern science helps explain why these rhythms matter. Structured breaks from eating can support blood sugar regulation, reduce inflammation, and improve how efficiently the body uses energy. Short term fasting often leads to quick changes on the scale, mostly from reduced calorie intake and shifts in glycogen and water balance. But when fasting is done aggressively, without enough protein, it can lead to muscle loss, elevated stress hormones, and unstable blood sugar, all of which weaken metabolic resilience. Early on, fasting may temporarily lower hunger hormones and increase fat burning signals, but without balanced meals and hydration, these effects can reverse and trigger overeating. In contrast, long term intermittent fasting, especially when aligned with natural circadian rhythm, has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, and support mitochondrial function or your cell function. These benefits are strongest when fasting is paired with nutrient-dense meals, hydration, and a flexible, sustainable routine. Intermittent fasting is adaptable. It can be shaped around different lifestyles, health conditions, and emotional needs. For example, for many Filipino families, fasting is woven into religious observance, ancestral wisdom, and the natural flow of food availability. This slide shows you that intermittent fasting is not as a trend, but as a modern expression of something deeply familiar: intentional nourishment and mindful timing. My goal is to help you see that intermittent fasting as a rhythm, not deprivation, a strategy that gives your body time to rest and reset between meals. As always, fasting should be individualized. People with diabetes, cardiovascular disease, or history of disordered eating should first consult with their healthcare provider, including their registered dietitian nutritionist. Registered dietitian nutritionists can help tailor fasting approaches so they are safe, culturally relevant, and emotionally supportive. So, how does intermittent fasting impact metabolic health? This slide takes us into the science of metabolic health, but in a way that feels human and approachable. Metabolic health isn't just about weight, it's about how efficiently your body uses energy, how well your cells repair themselves, and how smoothly your hormones communicate hunger, fullness, and balance. Intermittent fasting can support these processes in several ways. During fasting periods, insulin levels naturally fall, which may help the body use its glucose more efficiently. At the cellular level, fasting can activate metabolic housekeeping, where cells clear out damaged or worn out components. Think of it as giving your body a quiet moment to clean up and reset. Fasting also influences hormones like leptin and ghrelin, which help regulate appetite and satiety. When these signals become more balanced, it may support steadier energy levels and reduce overeating. Over time, intermittent fasting may also help with weight management and lower markers of chronic inflammation, both of which play important roles in long-term metabolic health. But it is important to remember that intermittent fasting is not a one-size-fits-all approach. Some people feel lighter and more energized quickly, while others need a slower and more personalized transition. This is especially true for individuals managing diabetes, polycystic ovary syndrome, thyroid dysfunction, or postmenopausal changes. Your experience is valid and your body's signals matter. This is where a clinical, compassionate approach makes all the difference. Intermittent fasting can be a powerful tool, but it works best when it's tailored to your physiology, your lifestyle, and your emotional well being. Meal planning is where intermittent fasting becomes practical and supportive. This slide shows how the 16 to 8 method can fit into nourishing, culturally familiar day of eating. During the fasting window, for example, from 8 p.m. to 12 p.m., hydration is your anchor. Warm ginger tea, lemon water, or plain water helps ease the transition into your eating window. When noon arrives, the focus shifts to balanced, nutrient-dense meals. A fiber-rich lunch such as sauteed mango beans with spinach and brown rice provides steady energy and supports digestion. A mid-afternoon snack could be a chia pudding or avocado, which offer natural sweetness, potassium, and healthy fats. Dinner can be simply and comforting cultural Filipino dish of grilled fish paired with tinola broth and a serving of purple sweet potato, high in antioxidants. These meals combine protein, fiber, and healthy fats, which help stabilize appetite hormones and keep energy levels steady throughout the evening. The goal is not to give up your culture, it's to honor it. Filipino staples like mango beans with vegetables, tinola, and purple sweet potato fit beautifully into an intermittent fasting routine when prepared in nutrient-dense ways. You're not restricting foods. You are adjusting the timing to support metabolic health. Think of this slide as a celebration of tradition and science working together. With the right structure, intermittent fasting becomes less about rules and more about rhythm, a way to nourish your body with intention while staying connected to the flavors and comfort of home. Let's talk about safety. Who should avoid intermittent fasting? Let us pause for a moment and acknowledge that every health journey is personal. Intermittent fasting is a helpful tool for many people, but it isn't the right fit for everyone. In recognizing that it is an act of wisdom, not limitation. As often as I say, not every tool fits every hand. Certain medical conditions, life stages, and medications require extra care. People managing diabetes, low blood pressure, or a history of eating disorders should work closely with a healthcare provider, such as a registered dietitian nutritionist, before trying intermittent fasting. Pregnant or breastfeeding women, children, and older adults with frailty also need individualized guidance. Medication timing matters too, because fasting can change how the body absorbs certain prescribed medications. Emotional readiness is just as important as physical readiness. Intermittent fasting requires awareness, consistency, and stable mindset. During period of high stress, grief, or recovery, the body may need a gentler approach. The message here is simple. Your safety comes first. Intermittent fasting is one option among many, and it works best when it supports your whole life, your health, your culture, your routines, and your emotional well-being. Many people turn to intermittent fasting during moments of urgency, when they're frustrated with weight gain, feeling sluggish, or simply hoping for something that works quickly. And yes, fasting can produce fast changes, especially in water weight and appetite. You may feel lighter, less bloated, or more in control in the first few days. But when the focus is only on speed, it's easy to overlook both the deeper benefits and the potential risks. Quick results can be motivating, but they are not always sustainable. Without enough protein or fiber, the body may lose muscle instead of fat. Hunger can swing sharply. Emotional eating may show up during the entire eating window, and you might feel tired, irritable, or even feel guilty if you break the fast. That is not a failure. It's your body signaling that it needs a more thoughtful and supportive approach. Now let's compare the results between short term versus long term. For short term, the benefits are rapid drop in water weight, appetite suppression, and sense of control. But the risks are muscle loss if protein intake is not adequate, fatigue, irritability, and risk for binge eating. And the management recommendation for that is prioritize protein and fiber intake. Avoid skipping meals entirely. Monitor mood and energy levels. Now let's look at the long-term results. The benefits are improved insulin sensitivity, reduced inflammation, better energy regulation. But the risks are slower visible results. It requires consistency, and it makes you feel socially isolated. The management recommendations are build flexible routines, include cultural comfort foods, track your sleep, your mood, and digestive pattern. Food is emotional, and changing when we eat can stir up more than hunger. It can bring up memories, insecurities, cultural expectations, and even old patterns we thought we'd outgrown. This slide invites you to explore the emotional side of intermittent fasting with honesty and compassion. Fasting isn't just about when we eat, it's about how we feel when we do not eat. Fasting can influence mood because it affects hormones like serotonin and cortisol. Some people feel clear and energized, while others may feel irritable, anxious, and mentally foggy, especially if meals lack enough protein or if fasting becomes too restrictive. Without mindful structure, intermittent fasting can unintentionally trigger binge eating or reinforce old body image struggles. These reactions are not failures. They are signals that the approach needs adjustments. Cultural pressure can also play a role. Many people feel guilty or shamed if they break the fasting, even though flexibility is part of a healthy routine. Language matters too. Self-talk matters. And having support, whether from family or friends, can make fasting feel less isolating and more sustainable. Mental health is part of metabolic health. When intermittent fasting is approached with balance, nourishment, and emotional awareness, it can support clarity, steadiness, and sense of control that feels grounded rather than rigid. This is a moment that I would like to model compassion and clinical insight side by side, reminding you that your emotional well-being is just as important as your physical goals. Now let's talk about sustainability. Intermittent fasting works best when it becomes something you can sustain, not just for a week or a month, but as part of your natural rhythm. This slide brings everything together by showing you that intermittent fasting is not meant to be rigid, it's flexible. You can adjust with your schedule, your energy levels, your social life, and the seasons of your life. The best health strategies are the ones that we can live with and live well. You don't need to fast every day. Steady and realistic consistency matters more than strict rules. Meals during your eating window should stay nourishing and satisfying to support long term energy. Eating earlier in the day may support better glucose control, digestion, and hormonal balance. Always watch for changes in energy levels, sleep, digestion, mood, and clarity, not just the number on the scale. So just be very mindful. Long term sustainability means choosing an approach that supports your body rather than stressing it. Fasting windows can shift when needed, and meals should remain balanced, satisfying, and nourishing. When intermittent fasting is practiced with consistency, adequate nutrition, and realistic expectations, it becomes easier to maintain and far more effective over time. Intermittent fasting doesn't just affect the body, it influences mood, motivation, and how we relate to food. Changing when you eat can shift neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which help regulate emotional balance. Cortisol may also rise during fasting, especially if you're already stressed out, which can make irritability or low mood more noticeable. For some people, fasting brings a sense of clarity and control. For others, it can stir up old dieting patterns or body image concerns. If you have ever struggled with restrictive eating, fasting may increase preoccupation with food or trigger emotional discomfort. These reactions are not failures. They are signals that your approach may need some adjustments. Fasting during emotionally demanding periods like grief, burnout, or high stress can feel heavier and may affect focus, patience, and decision making. That's why checking in with yourself is very essential. Ask yourself, does this feel supportive or does it feel pressured? Support makes the difference. Making a journal, talking to a registered dietitian nutritionist, or sharing your experience with someone you can trust can make fasting feel less isolating and more grounded. Your mental health matters just as much as your physical health, and a sustainable intermittent fasting routine should support both. Thank you for spending time with this presentation. I hope these insights help you feel more informed, supported, and confident in your choices. My work is shaped by the families, my veterans, and communities that I served over the years. They continue to teach me what healing truly means. Sustainable health is built through partnership. Research shows that when nutrition guidance is empathetic, collaborative, and grounded in real life experiences, people feel more empowered and more likely to succeed. Presentations like this help translate evidence based science into practical steps you can use every day, bridging the gap between research and real life experiences on people. Again, thank you so much for your time, and may God bless us all.